The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious.
Because the Lord is going to restore everything. You're going to have a total different vibration on the earth, a total different smell. You're not going to be walking down the street and smell shit and piss, you know, and no foul odors or nothing like that, because the lungs of the earth are going to be given back to it, which is all these trees and all of these flowers, and it's going to be a whole total different vibration. You know, you're going to see the aura and how things are going to change and how elevated things are going to be. Our senses are going to be heightened, you know? Everything about us is going to be glorified.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. The child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. They shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. Whereas the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands, not labor in vain. Oh, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy land, says the Lord.
The Lord said that on the Heavenly Father's right hand there are pleasures evermore. And it says that I have not seen, neither ear heard the things which the Lord hath prepared for them that wait for him. You know, there's a whole another world of greatness that awaits us when the kingdom of heaven is established. It's not seen in this society. In this society, we only see carnal things that reason offers in this society. But when the kingdom is established, the Lord is going to open us up to a whole nother world, you know, of pleasure, of knowledge, of wisdom, understanding, you know, just, I mean, can't even be put into words, you know, because our imagination only goes but so far.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al Shah. All right, and I want to get into this morning, dealing with the morning news and prophecy. All right, as we know, you know, there's still ongoing, you know, government shutdowns. All right, which is having a ripple effect, okay, on how, you know, certain things operate. Okay, and and you can tell how they talk. All right, that, you know, they're not in a rush, you know, to get the government to end the shutdown. Okay, and at the end of the day, we know the devil, is always up to something. Okay, and ultimately, this man's kingdom is a complete mess. All right, he's all over the place. The way that he runs the earth, is extremely tacky. All right, extremely wicked. Okay, extremely oppressive. Okay, and this man is everything that a ruler is not supposed to be. Okay, this man, Esau Edom, has the worst rulership, okay, that the earth has ever seen. All right, and this man don't give a damn about the people that he rules over. Okay, and when you go into the scriptures, all right, we'll start here, and I got a video, dealing with the shutdown. Okay, and you can just tell, that these devils are just emotionless. Okay, about the suffering of the people. Okay, because there's a way to rule. All right, because you can be superior to people and not destroy people. Okay, this devil, he confuses superiority with the destruction of the people that he rules over. Okay, so when you go to the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 10, verse 1, it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Okay, and this is the exact opposite of this government, man. All right, of Esau, Edom, the wicked. It's a government, all right, that's full of scams, corruption, okay, all over the place. Things don't make sense. Okay, the richest country, okay, in the world. Speaking of America, okay, which is the home of the world reserve currency. Okay, but you have these high homeless rates. All right, the cost of living, okay, and people's wages don't match. Okay, so this man's government is the opposite of well ordered. Okay, which shows you that he's not a wise judge. Okay, it says, as a judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Okay, and this is a society, especially here in America, just scammers. Okay, narcissists. Okay, everybody's moving in their own self interest. Okay, no one's thinking about the next generation to come. Okay, everybody just in their own little bubble. Esau in his own bubble. The elites, the super rich, are trying to pull off this new world order, and everyone else is just in survival mode, man. This is a society that has everyone in survival mode. Okay, and that's why it's so grimy in the world, and you spend most of the time in this society trying to dodge the scam. Okay, verse 3 says, an unwise king destroyed his people, and this is what we're seeing. The earth is being ran by an unwise king. You see, and it's bigger than the Republican and the Democrat. No, it's the nation of people that run the earth. Esau, Edom, the elites. All right, beginning with the elites. Okay, and their underlings that they have in these different offices, man. Okay, the earth has an Edomite problem. It has an Edomite infestation, man. Okay, and that's why Yahweh Shai is coming to put these devils in chains and eventually eradicate this devil, man. Okay, as we're going to jump down in this same chapter, says, an unwise king destroyed his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited, man. And that's going to be under, all right, the throne of David that Yahweh Shai is going to establish in the earth, man. Okay, and life is going to flourish under that throne. Okay, life is going to flourish under the throne, all right, of Yahweh Shai, man, which is the throne of David being established in the earth, man. Okay, beginning with Israel, okay, flourishing, okay, as a people, multiplying in righteousness, man. Okay, but this devil has it set up to where, the degenerate culture, the popular culture, is the glorified culture of westernization, is degeneracy. Okay, where wickedness multiplies itself. Okay, but the Yahweh Shai is going to intervene and cut off, okay, this infestation of wickedness in the earth, man. Okay, if a brother wanna put that in the book of Joel 3:13. Okay, if a brother want to put that, okay, because this is where we at with prophecy, man. All right, the Lord is going to cut off wickedness out of the earth, and it begins with the rulers, okay, which is Esau, Edom. You see, verse 4 said, "The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time He will set over one that is profitable, man." And that one begins with Yahweh Shai, you know, and the brother can put that also in Isaiah 32:1 in the NLT. If a brother don't mind putting that up, okay? Because their profitable rule is going to be Yahweh Shai. And we're learning to be profitable joint heirs, man. You know, every chance we get, we got to put that in there, understanding what we're a part of, why we're here, okay? And that's with the expectation to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. You know, every Israelite man that believes, that should be our expectation, is that we're here to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, man. You know, to be profitable, okay? First to Israel, beginning with the elect, okay? And then the earth itself, man. All right, the ecosystem of the earth, okay? Then eventually, after that 1,000 years of captivity, you know, these heathens, you know, excluding Esau, which is going to be eradicated, okay? Going to enjoy a righteous rulership, man. All right, so let's get this here. It's the brother, Yashimah tribe of Judah. Okay, it said, "Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get ye down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great," man. Okay, and wickedness has gotten to the point where it has to be addressed. Okay, and if you don't have a problem with the way that Esau, Edom is ruling the earth, all right, you're a part of that problem. All right, if you're not complaining about this man on a daily basis and what this man is doing in the earth, okay, you're a part of the problem, man. You're not signing crime for the abominations that have been done in the earth. Okay. You're not worthy. You're not fit. Okay. For the world to come, for the age to come. You see? Because going back with the brother guy, because in this new age, Yahweh Shai is bringing, all right, this the brother Mark Abal, you know, the Water Aki. This, the NLT, all right, Isaiah 32, all right, and 1. It said, "Look, a righteous king is coming, Yahweh Shai." Okay, and this is what we're preaching to our people, that a righteous king is coming. This is what we're proclaiming to the earth, that a righteous king is coming. We're telling this wicked king, Esau Edom, that a righteous king is coming, and that's Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, and under his princes shall rule under him. Okay, which is going to be what? Those joint heirs, man. Okay, so Lord will we endure, you know, and be made, all right, those joint heirs. Now, I want to go here to this first video dealing with these government shutdowns. And you can see these devils don't care, man. While this woman, you know, she's gonna call in and complain, and this devil don't give a damn. Okay, so this is going to the second week, okay, of the shutdown. All right, people have less savings than they ever had, more debt than they ever had. Okay, barely making it. All right, so here it is, the people they can't afford to lose a week of pay. All right, have to cry and complain, okay, to people who are millionaires and billionaires. Okay, just unfair rule. Okay, so let's play this and see, and also this judgment on you people as well. All right, because the Lord finna bring a suffering, all right, to the American society, man. This proud, you know, American society. All right, so let's let this play.
Morning, new pressure on Republicans to end the government shutdown as federal workers face a second week without pay.
As a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die.
House Speaker.
Look at my boy. He don't give a damn. You know, she's pleading, you know, saying my kids could die. You see, but look at this nigga, man. House Speaker Mike Johnson. Okay, he don't give a damn, and this is the sentiment of all these devils, man. You can tell in his face, man, that he don't give a shit what she talking about, man. Okay, and you people are gonna find out the hard way that your government is in all-out war with you, man. Okay, financially, okay, psychologically, and soon militarily, man. Okay, and you Americans are gonna find out the hard way, man.
Mike Johnson faced fierce criticism on live TV on Thursday as a woman claiming to be a military spouse accuses him of putting her children at risk.
You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military's getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes six figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
Military families lining up for hours for a food pantry distribution in Fort Hood, Texas, as they brace for a missed paycheck. But Johnson is saying only Democrats can end the shutdown.
Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are preventing your family from getting the care they need, not Republicans, and my heart goes out to you.
Meanwhile, Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene admits her own party could end the shutdown.
I'm a representative. I don't have to be a cheerleader for my party. We control the House. We control.
Now, what sense does this make? All right, that you have let me see. Yeah, so what sense does it make people that work for the government have to line up in food pantries? Okay, the military, some military, okay, workers have to line up for food pantries, man. This is crazy, man. All right.
Control the Senate. We have the White House. I've been vocal saying, you can use the nuclear option in the Senate. This doesn't have to be a shutdown.
It comes as airports across the country are hit with hours-long delays due to staffing shortages. 21,000 flights were delayed this week. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is saying 53% of those delays were caused by sick calls. Duffy now saying workers who call out could be fired. House Democrats say they're willing to pass a standalone bill to ensure pay for troops during the shutdown, but Johnson says he won't support the bill because it won't pass the Senate. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah, man, it made these niggas, okay, continue this shutdown. Brothers, hey, have the spirit to pray for the worst for these people, man. All right? Pray for the worst for these wicked people, man. May the shutdown, continue, man. May the Lord, all right, allow the suffering of these people to continue, man. You see, matter of fact, let's get that in the book of Baruch. Okay? You see, we're not here to pity pat. You see, prophecy ain't here to pity pat with people, man. We're going to see suffering, okay, on a level the earth has never seen. Remember, this is the worst times ever. This is the build up to the worst times ever, man. So we're not here to get squeamish, okay, at the judgment that the Lord finna bring to these people, man. Okay? So may these shutdowns continue. May people be laid off. May they destroy, these government jobs, these government assistance. May all these things continue to happen, all right? And these people suffer, man, especially going into this wicked time of the year, man. All right? May people not be able to afford, all right, Halloween costumes and, not afford to be able to get together with their family on Thanksgiving, okay? May they not be able to have any money for Christmas, okay? Let these people suffer, man, rightfully so. So this is the book, all right, of Baruch chapter 4, all right, in verse 31. Let me see, yeah, right. This is the book of Baruch chapter 4, verse 31 says, miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. Miserable is she that received thy sons. Okay, and then she is speaking of America, man. All right, and see, the earth, America has benefited off what? The labor, okay, of Israelite slaves. Okay, this country thrives off the labor, okay, of Israelite slaves, man. Northern and Southern Kingdom. All right. When you talk about the infrastructure, when you're talking about the the hands and feet jobs, okay? You know, the jobs where you barely make a living, but you risk your life to go do these jobs, okay? You know, the harvesting of the crops. People are fed to this day off, all right, the manual labor of the tribes, man. Okay, now we're in the time where these people finna suffer, man. Okay, the Lord's finna bring a suffering to this society. Okay, and we gotta prepare our minds for this, man. As for the Lord put the spirit on us, man, to rejoice at these people suffering, man. All right, it said, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad at thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation, man. It's beautiful these Edomites are calling in. All right, and these Edomites don't care about each other, man. These top elite Edomites don't give a damn, okay, about the majority of their own people, man. And that's why they're setting up a system to where it keeps their people, okay, forever impoverished too. Okay, they want to keep the wealth of the world within this small percentage of Edomites, man. Okay, and the Lord got them in their spirit, man, because He wants to bring a suffering, all right, to you low-level Edomites, and then the grand finale, all right, you elites, okay, being taken into captivity, man. It said, "For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning." All right, and this is what we should want, man. Okay, don't feel squeamish or any type of way for wanting to see these people suffer, man. Okay, the things that they take joy in, may Yahweh Shema Shah continue to take these things away, man. Okay, turn all these smiles into mourning, turn all this rejoicing into mourning. Okay, it says, "For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, okay, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time," man. So let it be a time of suffering all the way up into the missiles, man. Okay, which is going to be the ultimate wrath of Yahweh by Shema Shah. Okay, may the government stay shut down. Okay, and then let it be just a major ripple effect that affects this wicked society, man. Okay, because she's been proud against the Lord, as the scriptures say. Now, I want to segue here. I got another video I want to get into, which shows you that these devils, okay, are gearing up for draconian measures. All right, now this guy here used to be former chief of staff. All right, Miles Taylor. All right, and that's the position that there's a guy Stephen Miller, whatever his name, the Edomite has been talking tough, okay, to you Jakes. You see, but so he was on Trump's cabinet the first time, and he seen some things that made him resign. All right, and he's gonna give some insight, and the scriptures say their own tongues shall fall upon them. All right, but this just shows, all right, that these devils have had this in the making for a long time. All right, because at least know that they have to push this NWO, all right, through a form of a dictatorship. You see, they can't get this done by way of a so-called democracy. They need a dictatorship, okay, to transition to this NWO. All right, and they've been chipping away, all right, at this so-called democracy, which it was always, a farce, a false left-right paradigm. Okay, it was always, corrupt, but now it's more corrupt than ever. And now, they're getting more aggressive, all right, with what, man? And trying to roll out this NWO, okay, which is going to be through the sword, you see, through chaos. All right, so let's let this play, all right, and we'll go from there.
Now, let's talk about national security. You're a national security expert. You understand the risks and threats to this nation in ways that probably most people are just wildly unaware of. What do you see as the biggest national security risks coming out of the currently configured federal government?
Well, look, I'll say this. The irony is not lost on me that the reason that someone like me went into government to go defend our country against foreign terrorist organizations and the tools that were built to make that happen are now being turned against the American people. And
So the tools that they was using, all right, to spy and to track and to monitor terrorists are now being turned on the American people. And that was always the play. Going back to 9/11, all right, the Patriot Act. Okay. So 9/11, made it legal for them to spy on who they deemed, okay, terrorists, man. Okay, now all that technology and Palantir plays a major part of it. Okay, which Palantir, is pretty much this central, all right, data, all right, software. Okay. So now, since 9/11, they've been justified in spying. It's constitutional now. Okay. So now the things that you see, all the methods that we see America do abroad, okay, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, all right, Gaza, okay, all these things and tactics that they use have been nothing but training grounds, what they were planning on bringing to America the whole time. Urban warfare, going door to door, okay, all this has been training, okay, for what they want to do in America, man. All right, because America is this last stronghold of the old world, all right, that they want to tear down, you see, so they can implement their new world order, man. Okay.
Let me put that a little bit more explicitly. The counterterrorism architecture we built after 9/11 to hunt and identify and watch list and detain or eliminate foreign terrorists is now in the process of being turned against the American people and the political opposition. And there was a much overlooked executive order from the president last month called NSPM 7, National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, that laid out the bureaucratic process by which the president of the United States can now name virtually any organization he wants in the United States as a terrorist organization.
So what you think that means for us? You see, it's in the books. He can name any organization he wants as a terrorist organization. And when you're labeled a terrorist organization, that you don't have no constitutional rights. All right? You can be tracked, okay, and eliminated. You see? So what do you think that means for us, man? All right? Shah was telling us about these things. You see? So it's already, the stage is set. Now it's just about a thing of timing. When is this devil going to go with his move? Okay, but he already has all right, the legislation he needs to bring on the persecution. Everything is set for prophecy to be fulfilled, man. Okay, the AI infrastructure, for the MOTB. You see, the alliances for this third world war. Okay, the legislation, okay, for the persecution of the prophets. Okay, this devil coming down with great wrath, man. Everything is lining up for prophecy to be fulfilled, man. We're here. Jacob's trouble, boots on the ground. Okay, and it's just going to increase. All right, so let's keep playing.
And that opens the door for him to add Americans, potentially by the thousands, to the terrorist watch list and start to criminalize criticism in this country. This isn't made up. This isn't hyperbole. You can go to the White House website and read this language. It is extraordinary. It's the type of thing, when I was at the Department of Homeland Security in the first Trump administration, that I would have lit on fire if it hit my desk. I would have said, this is illegal. I don't need the lawyers to tell us this. This is unconstitutional. We cannot possibly go forward with it. This would be the most dystopian thing the administration has done.
If you have ever wanted to land a 100 to 150K a year fully remote career in as little as the next 4 months,
It says
And yet,
if you're an anti-capitalist, which could be described as what, a union member, a union leader, somebody who calls themselves a democratic socialist, or or a Democrat. That if you're anti-capitalist, that's one of the indicators of potential for terrorist activities, and therefore the 200 or so joint terrorism task forces around the United States, which I understand are kind of a fusion of FBI and local police, but that's going to be my question to you in just a second, that they can begin investigating you right now. So I come out and, our daily song today is we're all socialists, and so they say, oh, Hartman's an anti-capitalist. What can they do to me once they have identified me as anti-capitalist under this national security memorandum? And how do these these joint terrorism task forces work?
Well, let's use you as an example, Tom, because this is not an exaggeration. Given the political positions you have staked out in the past year, it would not be beyond imagination that one of this administration's joint terrorism task forces around the country could be directed to investigate you and your program and decide that the things you are saying are maybe aiding and comforting the enemy in their view. So they designate a terrorist organization and they say, you are saying things that provide them material support. And even if that's not true, you're not going to have a say in that. They can open the investigation, and they don't need anything more than reasonable suspicion to add you, Tom, to the terrorist watch list.
Which means what? Which means I
it could mean
can't
a
fly?
lot of things. Well, if they decide to put you on the no-fly list, but that would be a mistake because then they would tip you off to the fact that you're on the list. It just makes it a lot easier to track and monitor you, not just from a travel perspective, but a financial perspective. And if they want ability to monitor your communications, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So what he's saying, all right, is that they can say that, for example, all right, let's say a brother, does a World War III ago, okay, or a news and prophecy, okay, and they can say, well, he's saying things that aid the enemy, okay. You're saying things that could, all right, hinder our ability, okay, to carry out, our military strategy against, okay, the enemy. So what you're saying, you're giving them material through the information you're bringing out. You're giving the enemy material against the U.S. government, okay, which the scriptures go into that, man. So this devil, he's making it to where it's not going to take much for him to, all right, criminalize speech, okay. So when you go to Isaiah 29 and 21, it says that make a man an offender for a word, okay. And see, this is how he's trying to combat this word, okay. He's trying to make it illegal to speak particular things, okay. And he's framing it to where, you're speaking things that go against our national security. All right. When you bring it out this, you say it's prophecy, but we look at it as treason against our national security. Okay. You're aiding or giving foreign governments, all right, verbal material that could harm or affect our national security, man. You see, this devil is framing it. Okay, because you go back when they had to when they was wanted to crucify Yahushua, they wanted to make him guilty on the Roman law. Okay, so let's finish there. We go to the example, said that make a man an offender for a word and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. And we are those that reproveth in the gate, and the snare is these laws that they coming up with. Okay, this legislation that they're coming up with. All right, the way that they're framing these laws, okay, is a snare for us. They want to put us in this box. Okay, It says, and turn aside the jest for a thing of naught, man, to make it seem that well, making it seem that we're not talking about anything, man, making it seem as just what we're doing, all right, is nothing. Okay, as we're ushering in a righteous eternal kingdom for Yahweh, they want to make it seem like them niggas ain't talking about nothing. You know, they're just a hindrance. You know, they're a threat. Okay, so this is what this devil is doing. Because when you go here, all right, to the book of Luke, when them niggas couldn't find no fault in Yahweh, okay, within the Mosaic law, they wanted to make him guilty before Pilate under the law of Rome. Okay, so let's go here. Let's read this in the NLT. All right, because it was the chief priest. Okay, they came and grabbed Yahweh, okay, from the garden of Gethsemane. All right, and they investigated him, but they didn't find anything worthy of death. You know, they said blasphemy. You know, but they couldn't put him to death. Okay, under that Mosaic law, under the Roman Empire. So it says, Luke 23:1 said, then the entire council took Yahweh to Pilate. So this was niggas, the chief priest, the high priest, the Roman governor. Okay, they began to state their case. This man has been leading our people astray by telling them not to pay their taxes to the Roman government, and by claiming he is the Messiah, okay, a king. Okay, so they wanted Yahweh to be found guilty according to Roman law. Okay, so they started to make up these accusations based on the laws of Rome to make Yahweh to seem as if he was inciting sedition and rebellion against the Roman government. Okay, so expect the same thing, because we gotta drink of that cup. All right, now, where we at? Play a little more. I think it might be a little more in this video.
This isn't in the abstract anymore. This is now happening. And there was a saying in the 20th century about the banality of evil. You know, people imagine evil is a jackboot kicking down their front door and their neighbors being pulled out by the collars and put on trains and sent to gulags. That's not what it looks like at first. It's very, very bureaucratic. You have to get these people and systems and processes in place. And that is what is happening. You are seeing this administration do exactly that. And, you know, it is, I think, the gravest threat to First Amendment rights that we have seen in this country, if not in the modern era alone, perhaps in the 249-year history of the whole republic.
Yeah, we're talking with Miles Taylor, www.
Yeah, man. So what we're seeing, they're getting the paperwork ready to make their move. They're getting all their ducks in a row legally, all right, legislatively, okay, before, you know, they make their move, all right, and the things are already set in place. So we was told, St. John 15:20 said, do you remember what I told you? All right, Yahweh was always gearing the disciples up for the time it was coming into, and we're in the book of Acts all over again, all right. A slave is not greater than the master. Since they persecuted me, naturally they will persecute you. Okay, and this is the time we're in. Hey, we can't shy away from it, man. You know, we should go into this thing with full faith that the Lord finna show power, man. Okay, we have to be put in these situations for the Lord to show power. Okay, and it says if they had listened to me, they will listen to you, and that's the elect. All right, that's gonna listen. Okay, but everyone else, all right, they're going to play a part in persecuting the prophets, man. Okay, and everything is set in place for these devils to look justified and go on with their move. Okay, so that was the point. You know, just wanted to touch on that. You know, Lord will, all right, you brothers and you sisters edified once again. And give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being a great example to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful lip. Shalom.